Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set, cocked, locked? Here we go. Your dial set correctly to USA Prepares. We're delighted you're in class with us today. John is engineering the broadcast at Genesis Communications Network in Minnesota. I'm Vincent Finelli. Rich Scheben's with us. He's invited a guest, Angela Clemens, to join us. And if you'd like to call us, we'll pay for the call. 866-582-9933. 866-582-9933. Telephone listen line is up and running. 605-477-3249. Welcome, Rich Scheben.
Well, thank you, Vincent Finelli, and as always, I always appreciate you allowing me to exercise my First Amendment right, and that's what we're going to do first thing in the morning here with our special guest, Angela Clemens. Now, Angela is representing Schaefer Cox, and I had the pleasure of meeting him briefly when he spoke in Hamilton. And I'm totally guessing and shooting from the hip. I'd say about 15 years ago. I don't even know if that's accurate. But he was a very impressive young man, still is. But he's a man who was set up. He was unjustly tried. He was convicted and sentenced under orders of a rogue elements of, you'll recognize some of these names, Mueller's FBI, Holder's DOJ, and the Obama administration. Imagine my shock. Schaefer was then targeted and taken out because he was a popular First and Second Amendment activist. A little sidebar here, folks. If we lose either one of these Bill of Rights, a.k.a. our Constitution, First or Second Amendment, everything comes down. And we'll talk about that sometime today, Vince, with big tech and how they're doing everything to censor and block and shadow ban and even help out and benefit the Chinese military and basically eliminate our free speech and rule of law. So this has to come to an end. We'll talk about that more in detail if we have time today. But anyway, paid FBI and confidential informants and agents, provocateurs pushed Schaefer to become violent. He did not fall for the bait. He resisted every time and was very vocal about choosing to act like Gandhi. And with that being said, I want to welcome Angela Clemens to the show. Angela, please feel free to pick up where I left off regarding Schaefer Cox's introduction. And for all patriotic Americans who basically don't get any representation, rights, or restitution under the law because we are the little guy, I want to thank you for what you're doing. And I know every patriot and American that's listening right now is doing the same. So, Angela, welcome to the show.
Well, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Speak up just a little bit, Angela, please.
Okay. My name's Angela Clemens, and I run a nonprofit called Schaefer's Angels, and I am dedicated to seeing Schaefer Cox be set free.
Okay. Now, Angela, when you see some of this stuff that's going on where Schaefer's family was threatened to get him to act violently, law enforcement, they basically wanted him snuffed out, and this was happening up in Alaska, and he continued to act peacefully and try to leave the country with his family. When they were fleeing, one confidential informant / agent provocateur moved in and held Schaefer's family hostage until Schaefer was arrested on March 10th. And I understand this particular judge, who was taken out of retirement, who had even hearing impairment, had something to do with this. Can you go into a little detail with this?
Yeah, it's, like you said, Schaefer Cox is a political prisoner. Right now, he's in year 8 of a almost 27-year sentence for no crime. No crime was ever committed by Schaefer Cox. He's never committed a crime. He was targeted, like you said, he was targeted for speaking up against corruption, child sex trafficking, and drug trafficking. In order to get him to not focus on the corruption, the FBI and local authorities sent in two known FBI informants. One is a known criminal. He ran drugs for the Hells Angels. For 2 years, their job was to provoke Schaefer to violence, and not one single time was that ever successful. Schaefer repeatedly said, "I'm not going to shoot it out. I'm not going to shoot it out." He said that several times. We have the discovery evidence showing that. He also repeatedly said, "If they come for me, I'm not going to pull a Rambo. I'm going to pull a Gandhi." So he is a man of peace. And at one point, the FBI informant was so angry that he was not provoking Schaefer to violence that he pulled a knife and held it to the throat of Les Zerby, one of Schaefer's friends, to try to see if that would provoke Schaefer, which it did not. They also threatened Schaefer's life, the life of his family. Schaefer at one point went to the local military base to let them know of the intensity of the threat. The military base the military police let him know that the FBI was recently there, and they were bragging about how they wanted to take care of, quote, the Schaefer Cox problem. And that military officer went on record with that quote. So we know that to be true. It's on record. They also tried to take away his child by filing a false CPS child neglect claim, just to see if that would provoke him to violence. Again, it never did. So kind of jumping into a few years, so that Alaska took him to court, and they didn't have anything to charge him with. So they made one up. They made a charge up, conspiracy and solicitation. The tapes that proved his innocence, the 2 years that he was being recorded, those tapes were played for the judge, and the case was completely thrown out. They knew that there was no case. So, like you said, the federal government came in, and they have actually zero jurisdiction to try most crimes, including the ones they're charged Schaefer with. They have no jurisdiction over Schaefer's case. So they tried him unconstitutionally and illegally in federal court. And the judge, who was hard of hearing, they couldn't find a judge to hear his case, so they brought one out of retirement. He was hard of hearing, and he ruled that those same tapes that got the case thrown out would not be allowed to be played in federal court. And that resulted in Schaefer's conviction of conspiracy and solicitation, the two long charges that he's being charged with.
Wow. Now, right now, where he's being held in prison, Angela, my understanding, I think, from what I've heard and private conversations that you and I have already had prior to this broadcast, you say his life is in danger because he's put in a very rough prison with radical people who are proponents of Sharia law, and he's a devout Christian. And I was wondering if you can go into a little detail with that.
Sure. He's being held in one of two black site prisons called CMUs, communication management units. They're known as Little Guantanamo. They took the place of Guantanamo Bay. And there's around 36 to 40 men in each of these facilities. One is in Terre Haute, Indiana. The other one is in Marion, Illinois. There are prisons within a prison. We know that they're not run by the BOP, the Bureau of Prisons, and FOIA requests have come back, the Freedom of Information Act, to see who runs them. It comes back as it's not a government agency, so they don't have to tell us who runs the CMUs. So we don't actually know, but they have known and documented tortures, including, well, first of all, they're starving the men to death. Schaefer has scurvy, which is a starvation disease, malnutrition. Some of the guys have beriberi, which is also a malnutrition starvation disease. They have been exposed to extreme temperature deviations where at times it's so hot that Schaefer can't touch the ground with his feet. It's so hot. Then they'll make it so cold that the water in the toilet freezes. Oh. They've been exposed to extreme sleep deprivation where they'll wake them up every 30 minutes.
Oh.
They've been exposed to, like they did in Guantanamo Bay, where they chain them in awkward and uncomfortable positions for long periods of time. They've been exposed to 4-point shackling. Schaefer's been in the hole for months and months at a time. He said one time he was in the hole so long he forgot what a human face looked like.
Oh.
So these are known and documented tortures. Several court cases around the country, including with Center of Constitutional Rights. They've also have some of the court cases. Most of the men in there are radical in their beliefs, and they put a few other guys in there so that the prison doesn't get called out for racial, to be racist. So they put a few guys in there. They call them balancers, and that's what Schaefer is. He is a white Christian man, and most of the people that come to prison convert to the main religion.
Angela,
just go ahead and hold on until the break is through, and thank you for coming on the air, and we'll be back, folks.
Class, Angela Clemens is with us, and she's telling us about the horrors of what's happening to Schaefer Cox right here, right now, in the United States of America. It's another story about abuse of power, criminal behavior, and the torture at the hands of the government corporation. Angela Clemens, please feel free to name the names of those involved if you choose to do so.
Well, I think where we left off was we were talking about the CMU. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Well, I was going to say that Schaefer is considered a balancer there. And in November of 2018, the few Christian guys were singing some hymns and having a little study in a cell. And one of the extreme men grabbed Schaefer's friend, tied his hands behind his back. They stabbed him in the heart, and they sawed off his head with a wire. And they grabbed a second guy, and they stabbed him 12 times, but he miraculously survived. So these are the kind of things that Schaefer lives with every single day.
Yeah, Angela, it's so hard to hear, but for all of us Americans listening to this right now, we have to ask ourselves, how long do we expect to live in the land of the free and the home of the brave if we don't stand for principle? And it's pretty obvious, and I've said this many times, America's lawyers, judges, politicians are all bought and paid for. In other words, they've sold out the American people, especially the little guy, especially when you see the Jeffrey Epsteins of the world who get a slap on the wrist, which is so frustrated for doing pedophilia. And I guess when you have your own plane and you're a billionaire and you can do all the crimes in the world that you want if you're wealthy and well-connected, no problem. So obviously we have a separate-tiered system of rules, laws, and accountability, not just, and this is a multi-tiered system. Too many people, even Republicans, say it's a two-tiered, with the implication being that the two-tiered is one justice system for Democrats and one for Republicans. Well, most of the Democrats are owned by the globalists and funded by the globalists. So we have to add a lot more to that subset, and especially there's other subsets like what skin pigmentation, what gender, what sexual orientation, what religion. We have a multi-tiered justice system. In other words, the rule of law in America has broken down. So it's very, very disturbing when you see who can get away with this. So especially with all the gaslighting going on and all the lying, all the false flags and the hoaxes, nothing is real anymore in this country. So that being said, Angela, I apologize for not getting Jordan Page on, the country singer who did a song for Schaefer Cox, and that's on me because I have a hobby farm here. Some of my animals are really old, and I've got some animals dying, and I'm doing my best to make it as I love these animals, and I just got to take care of them. That's just taken so much time the last few days, so I apologize for that. But can you tell the American people, Angela, how they can buy Jordan's CDs and where they can go to hear it, and how much of the proceeds go to help Schaefer Cox and Schaefer's Angels? And I got to say, Schaefer's Angels is a great name because you are definitely the head angel. And I know I'm not just saying this, just for me. Everybody who's hearing this story, everybody who knows Schaefer Cox, and what you're doing for him is, I can't even put a word to it because most people would not do everything that you've done. You're basically a power of attorney for him. You're a liaison with the lawyers. You're a liaison with the public. You're a liaison with the media. If everybody had an angel in their back pocket like you, I think this world would be a much better place. So, Angela, after the break, please go ahead and feel free to answer those questions, okay?
Okay.
Okay, we'll be right back after the bottom of the hour commercial announcements. And I'd like to know exactly what did Schaefer Cox actually do? What was he accused of doing? What does he know? Class, I just posted a link to the Schaefer Cox story at usaprepares.com, usaprepares.com. Angela Clemens, what did Schaefer Cox allegedly do? What was he accused of? Who does he have information on that wants that information buried?
Schaefer Cox was accused of soliciting and conspiracy of murder. They also threw a few weapon charges on him, bogus weapon charges. But in August of 2017, the Ninth Circuit Court dropped the solicitation charge, and the judge even he's quoted using the term Mickey Mouse because there's no identifiable targets to solicit anyone or conspire to murder. There's no target. So the judge decided that Mickey Mouse is not a threat, so they could drop the solicitation charge. It actually makes little sense to have conspiracy without solicitation because if you didn't solicit anyone to help you, then there's no one that you conspired with either. And you can't conspire alone. So we're hoping that the conspiracy charge will also get dropped as well. He was, when he was calling out the corruption, one specific piece of it was he called out what was called the Ocean View House, where some pedophilia was going on. So, again, that was just another reason for his being targeted. Also, I think one of you guys was talking about something that brought up the tier system that the FBI uses to evaluate their potential targets. They have like tier 1 to tier 5, and tier 1 would be someone who holds beliefs that are different than the deep state. A tier 5 person would be someone who has the ability to revolutionize and get things done and motivate and lead a lot of people. And there's only, less than 200 people are usually scored at a tier 4, and less than 5,000 people are scored at tier 3. And Schaefer has heard that only 6 people in America have been scored at a tier 5, and Schaefer Cox is one of those. So that was another reason he was such a threat, because of his communication skills, leadership talent, charisma, his knowledge of the deep state, personal discipline, life achievements, financial stability, international experience, those kinds of things.
Angela, where can the American people who are listening to this right now donate and buy Jordan Page's song? How much of those proceeds go to Schaefer Cox's attorneys, and what link can they go to donate to help Schaefer out?
Okay. freeschaefer.com has the donate banner when you log in, or when you load it, and you can donate there to Schaefer's Angels. And I give an accounting to Schaefer Cox every single month, and that goes directly to his legal expenses. So he is able to tell me what needs to be paid, and that's how it gets done. The link to Jordan, to purchase Jordan's song, or even to view the video, is also on that homepage, freeschaefer.com. And you can also go to jordanpagemusic.com. It's JORDANPAGE music.com. And you can download the song from there. And 50% of the proceeds goes to Schaefer's Angels to help with the legal expenses that Schaefer has right now. This is a really big year for Schaefer. We're hoping that through some other FOIA cases, and the cases will work together to get conspiracy charge dropped. We're hoping, and if that happens, Schaefer could be set free. So that is the huge hope. We're also looking for someone willing to make a movie about Schaefer and to tell the truth. So friends of friends can ask around and send them our way. I was also going to say that there's quite a few, like in the last 20 months, I've received over 12,000 letters for Schaefer Cox. And there's quite a few international people involved, supporters from Japan, Russia, Australia, Switzerland, so and Poland. It's kind of an interesting dynamic to watch and to see how the other countries are also very interested in the case of Schaefer Cox.
Well, I'll tell you, Angela, we certainly appreciate, all patriotic Americans appreciate what you're doing, because this could happen to any one of us, folks. This is a setup, okay? They basically create the problem, create the solution, manufacture the reaction. Everything is fake and phony. Everything is made up. Everything is to manufacture perception, pity, guilt, ideology, and sway public opinion, hold on to the narratives. It's up to us to stand for principle and do something about this. Now, I know the White House listens to this show, and I have a plea for President Trump. You know, we have to start seeing actions against the elite and the paid-off treasonous deep state operatives, and not just words, especially with the censorship blocking and free speech and the rule of law. We need to end this. We need to end this fascist, big corporate, big tech, protected by oversized corruption in the government. When greed goes unrestrained, everything legitimate becomes irrelevant. We need the same rules, laws, and accountability for everybody. Now, I'm hoping that President Trump hears this broadcast today, or at least gets to him through his people in the White House and Pentagon, Angela, because there was President Trump got hold of a terminally ill cancer patient a few weeks ago. Now, I'm not it was a great thing what he did. It was humanity. It was gracious. It was a great gesture. But his sister, who was a diehard Democrat, contacted President Trump. Basically, they're just average Joe nobodies, just like us. And President Trump called him, and this made some big media like the CitizenFreePress.com, which is the next Drudge Report, just FYI. That being said, I'm hoping that this broadcast gets to President Trump and President Trump does something about the corruption, the manipulation, the bought and paid for system that we have. And is there anything else that you would like to add, Angela?
Yeah, I've contacted Senator Todd Young multiple times. Todd Young and Mike Pence know each other well because Mike Pence is from Indiana. And I have requested many times for either Mike Pence or President Trump to call me so that we can talk about Schaefer Cox and get Schaefer Cox pardoned. He deserves a pardon, and we really need this to happen. And one thing I really like to tell everyone is, it doesn't matter who you are or what religion you are or what your political beliefs are. This case is for everyone. There's a place for everyone in the Schaefer Cox story. So I'd just like to encourage people with that. And I hear a lot of times people say, well, I don't want to get too involved. I'm a single mom, or I'm a single dad, or I have a family. And I say, yes, that's why you need to be involved. Because you are a single mom, you need to be involved. Because you are a single dad, you need to be involved. Because you have a family, because you have people and things you love and a life you love, you need to be involved. This involves everyone. It's everyone's responsibility, and we need to see Schaefer Cox be set free.
Absolutely. I mean, there's some disturbing headlines out there, like the DOJ and Clinton lawyers struck a secret deal to block FBI access to Clinton Foundation emails. Obama told the DOJ to charge Hillary Clinton's server mishandling information. Now we know that Comey took no action. Classified email shows Hillary Clinton colluded, met with Putin-like Russian oligarchs, but the FBI covered it up, then investigated General Flynn for a similar offense. Hillary gets away scot free again. These are the articles that are out there in the alternative / new media, and we need to bring the rule of justice to the forefront, because when people stand up for the truth, when people stand for principle, they are being demonized, discredited, and delegitimized, and like Schaefer Cox, thrown in jail and basically barely surviving. So I sure hope this podcast does some good, Angela. Thank you so much for being here.
Angela?
Thank you so much.
Wait. We're not going away yet. Angela?
Yes?
What is the mainstream media's interest in your story about Schaefer Cox?
Well, I haven't had, people like Fox News. I haven't had anyone like that contact me yet. But I think that the story needs to be told all over the world. And I am willing to tell the story to every person in the world. So if the mainstream media can call and get the story out, that would be great.
How would you like other media outlets to contact you?
Yes, any and every and all of the above. Yes, sir.
How would you like that to happen, Angela?
They can contact probably the email would be the best, and it's SchaeferCox at Gmail, and it's SCHAEFFER SchaeferCox COX at gmail.com is one of the quickest ways to get a hold of me.
Okay, class, let me make sure we've got this clear. SchaeferCox at gmail.com. SCHAEFFERCOX at gmail.com. So if you are in the media and if you would like to interview Angela Clemens, That's the email address that you use to contact her. We've got some friends in radio. We've got some friends that I'm going to share this information with, and let's see if we can get you on more broadcasts to get the word out more far and more wide. Please stay with us through the next break, and Rich Scheben and Angela Clemens will be back talking about Schaefer Cox. Angela Clemens, I've got some thoughts that you might want to consider. Here at USA Prepares, we are outspoken, we are activists, and all of us here are instructors teaching classes around the world, AM, FM, satellite, YouTube, telephone, listen line, podcast, every way you can think of. At least 4 USA Prepares instructors have been arrested illegally on trumped-up charges. Mike Parsons, Steve Engel, Craig Douglas, Lynette Marie Pate. We've seen this. And the only way I can think of to get faster action is to get the story heard wide and far and loud. And I have a suggestion for 2 people that you should contact. One is Jim Bohannon. He's an overnight broadcaster. Jim Bohannon. And I know Jim Bohannon. I interviewed him when I first started radio many years ago. And then the other one is George Norrie, Coast to Coast AM. If you get on those broadcasts, you will gain more traction faster. That's Jim Bohannon and George Norrie. There are other contacts that will remain nameless. I'll work behind the scenes to see if I can get you on some more broadcasts, along with Rich Scheben, if that's what you would like to do.
Yeah. The more the better. Definitely.
Okay. Rich Scheben, back to you.
Well, thank you, Vince. Angela, I just want to say, I know you're not looking for any pats on the back, but I doubt I'm the first one that's going to be saying this, but you are a hero.
Oh.
You really are, for what you're doing for not just Schaefer Cox, but for the rule of law, for the Bill of Rights, for the Constitution, so we can live free and hopefully, again, be the home of the brave and stand for principle. So I want to thank you very much from the bottom of my heart, and for all the Americans who are listening. This is a story that certainly tugs on the heartstrings. And Angela, we only have a couple minutes left, probably, by the looks of it. So maybe 3 minutes. Is there anything else that you would like to add in behalf of Schaefer Cox, Jordan Page's songs, or anything else?
Well, just what you said, kind of, pulling on the heartstrings. One other kind of sad piece is, Schaefer was taken from his 2 children. His daughter was 3 weeks old when he was kidnapped by the government. And during the entirety of his prison time, he was out of the CMU for 6 months only. During that time, his children visited, and he got to hug them. So that was the first and only time his daughter ever met him. And even when his mother comes to visit, it's always behind glass. So, and just another human torture to go years and years and years without the loving touch of a human. So just would encourage everyone to, go to freeschaefer.com. You can also go to jordanpagemusic.com and download the song. So thank you so much for your time and your encouragement. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And those links are at usaprepares.com. Class, you can go to usaprepares.com, page number 1. The reason I'm mentioning this is because that's what our classes used to do. And they used to go into usaprepares.com. Quick and easy way to get there. And what would you like us to do, Angela? What would you like us to do right now?
Well, just exactly what you're saying is getting the links there. People can go. People can find out more ways to get involved through the website. People can download the song, and the more media coverage, the better. We need this story all around the world. We need it out. We need Schaefer Cox to be set free. Yeah,
I would love to hear his story firsthand.
Yes.
If we're successful. If we're not successful, how long will he be in prison, Angela?
Well, his sentence is until 2033. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, it's God forbid something like that would actually happen. So.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Angela, thank you so
Angela,
much for being with us.
Would you consider coming back again and giving us? Would you consider coming back to give us updates?
Absolutely, anytime. You just let me know. Thank you so much.
It's our pleasure. Rich Shealy, thank you for putting this together. Angela, thank you for the courage speaking out. It's risky. We know that. Everyone all set? Cocked, locked. Hour number 2. Rich Sheaben's with us. Class, for years we've been telling you that your smartphones have been monitoring what you do, what you type, where you are, what you say. And now it's coming to light in the mainstream media. People have been saying what we've been saying, that they talk about things in the presence of their smartphone. And all of a sudden, the next day, ads appear for the things that they were talking about. So there was a young gal who did an experiment, and she decided that she was going to just test this. And she was going to speak within earshot of her smartphone. And she was going to mention things and discuss things that she has never searched before. Never searched before. To see if she would get advertisements for those things. And there are voice recognition applications like Siri and Bixby, and they're always listening for what you're saying. They're always listening for commands. Well, the technical giants, including but not limited to ilk like Facebook and Apple, have been denying that the phones listen to their customers' conversations and that they sell data to advertisers. But here's the truth. So this experimenter decided to scientifically find out why this was happening or how this was happening. So she pulled together a list of topics, things that she does not search for, like vegan food, spandex, and business cards. And then she made sure her microphone was turned on all of her applications, and she kept using Facebook and Instagram the same way that she'd previously used it. What happened? She got an offer for 50% off her first purchase of business cards, something she never searched before. She's getting recipes for vegan dishes. She's getting follow-ups, advertisements for things that she and her husband talked about while their phone was next to them. They spoke about furniture. Then she was inundated with furniture ads. Is this a coincidence? Hardly. She's being spied upon, and so are you, class. And the only thing you can do to stop it is to dump that smartphone. Would I suggest you do anything that I wouldn't do or didn't do? No. I don't have a smartphone. I don't like being in a place where there's a smartphone. I don't like being in a car with someone else who has a smartphone. I don't even want to be in their house. Why? Because what do? They walk into their house. Let's say you arrive at their house with them. The first thing they do is take the smartphone out of their pocket and put it where? On the kitchen counter, the kitchen table, or wherever they are. They don't want that darn spy technology out of their sight. They've got to have it with them. We're going down. And it's our own fault. We are too stupid and too greedy to get rid of these toys, these spy toys. Rich Shealy, any comments?
Well, yeah, but we've talked about this many times. People say there's a double-edged sword with technology, and I think it's more like 90-10, because technology is meant to censor and surveil the people, and then when you throw in what robotics, automation, artificial intelligence is going to do, not just to our freedoms and liberty, but to our jobs and our independence, it's only benefiting the super wealthy. I mean, that's why I always say we have a separate tiered system with different rules, laws, and accountability. That's why, Angela Clemens is really a hero, because she has the guts, she has the courage to step forward to talk about stuff like this. I mean, look at the stuff. Yeah, here's an article. UN boss demands end to negative narratives on mass migration. You might as well say, let's stop thinking. Okay? Here's another article. Alyssa Milano called herself a disabled trans immigrant person of color, but yet people are being jailed for misgendering somebody or being fined or kicked out of school. I mean, we are truly living in a Twilight Zone episode. And then you have articles like Page, Obama, DOJ ordered FBI not to prosecute Hillary Clinton. DOJ ordered do not look at any Clinton Foundation emails on Hillary's server. Basically, it all depends on what group you're from. That's the bottom line. And it's not a two-tiered justice system, like some people on the right might say. It's a multi-tiered justice system. One for the Democrats and the Republicans, and the Democrats are usually the super wealthy ones, the funders, the globalists, and then there's one for skin pigmentation, one for gender, one for sexual orientation, one for religion, and it's a sliding system. So, unfortunately, we are way past 1984. We're way past Twilight Zone episodes. We're to the point where nothing makes sense, and all we can do as little people, just like Angela Clemens is doing for Schaefer Cox, is to stand up, stand for principle, stand up for the rule of law. In other words, when you stand up for the rule of law, you stand up for our Bill of Rights and Constitution. You stand up for freedom of speech. You stand up for the ability to protect yourself with weapons of choice. This is what we are about to lose. If we lose any one of the First and Second Amendments, it's all over, folks. So the silent majority, what Angela really is asking everybody to do, the silent majority, we need to read up, we need to research up, and we need to speak up. And we need to remember the over 1 million combat soldiers who gave their life for our freedoms, for our liberties, for our so-called rule of law, that we're losing more and more on a daily, if not hourly basis. Vince?
Well, I don't think it's going to stop until we name the names and visit the criminals' homes. You know, to say hi. How you doing? Just want to let you know that I've been thinking about you, watching what you're up to, and want to let you know that, you know, it's not just me. It's all these other people who are on the sidewalk with me. We're just concerned about what you're doing, and we wanted to say hello and let you know that we are watching you. That's the only way it's going to stop. And you know how to do it? You go visit their homes and you talk to their wives. Because the wives will understand what their husbands are doing. They know what their husbands are doing. And they'll say, honey, are you out of your mind? Do you know that 50 people came to visit us today? And they're going to be back again and again and again until you stop. Until you stop spying on them, until you stop threatening them, until you stop arresting them, until you stop giving them tickets, until you stop increasing their taxes, until you stop increasing the restrictions on their lives, until you stop surveillance, until you stop spraying them with chemicals, until you stop. They're going to keep visiting us. And honey, I'm afraid. I don't like these people. These people may get out of control. They're almost out of control now. Honey, why don't you stop before I divorce you and take the children with me? Because it's getting dangerous because of what you're doing, honey. I think that's what it's going to take. I really do. And Schaefer Cox is one. You guys are next. All of us are next. And I mentioned I mentioned the USA Prepares instructors who have been arrested on trumped-up charges. Mike Parsons, still in prison. Steve Angle, he was arrested for opening a door with a .45 in his left hand as he opened the door with his right hand. The cops beat him up, threw him down, took him to the hospital, arrested him. Craig Douglas has been arrested many times. Why? Because he drives without a government-authorized permit. They've stolen his house, which happens to be his van. Lynette Marie Pate, they've arrested her for driving without a government-authorized permit. Actually, I should say traveling. Think about it. Think about this.
Think about
really?
Your brain. This is the Talk Radio Review.
Who has authorized the government to tell you that they will allow you to travel in your own vehicle? Think about that. Now, we just think that this is just normal, right? That you have to have a government-approved document that says that you may travel on the street in your own vehicle. And by the way, who paid for the streets? I think that's what you did. You paid for them through taxes, 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 and taxes. And then you get arrested for traveling on the street without a government-approved permit. Think about that. Does that make any sense? I'm going to tell you right now, I will hop on my dirt bike and I will travel up and down the dirt roads in our area. Not for commerce, but for farming purposes. I will travel on vehicles. I will travel on the road with vehicles on our dirt roads around our farm. Because why? Because the government corporation took the property that belonged to people and they cut roads through it. They've stolen the property and they made them roads. Then they say, wait a minute, if you want to use the property that used to belong to your farm, well, you have to have a government permit to travel on the roads of the property that used to be yours. Every once in a while, a road grader will come down our road and fill in the huge potholes. And each time they try to take more and more land. They try to make the roads wider and wider and wider and wider. But they try to take land. Well, what do? My fence is right up against the road because I don't want them taking any more of my land. And they're going to have to tear down our fence to do it. So we're marking what's ours. Some people say, well, let's put the fence farther back. Ladies, I just want to mention that cameras, very tiny, tiny, tiny cameras are being deployed in ladies' restrooms. Cameras are being deployed in ladies' restrooms. You know, at stores, buildings, offices, restaurants. Just wanted to let you know that. And they look like a little dot. You know, the size if you were to type an O, a lowercase O on a printed page. That's how big these camera lenses are. So keep that in mind. You know, if you see little holes in the bathroom walls, under the sinks, that's what's happening. And I'll tell you what, I think if you find them, you ought to destroy them and take them with you. Because what's happening is with this great technology that we have, Wi-Fi, these videos are being streamed live to people who are willing to pay, $40 a month to see you in a bathroom stall. Your companies are spying on you. You've got cameras above you, everywhere you can imagine. That's what's happening in this technology. And at some point, the villagers are going to just say that's it. And it will take off like wildfire. I'm talking about the destruction of cell phone towers. I'm talking about the destruction of cameras. I'm talking about all of this oppression. It's going to happen. And it's going to be ugly. And it doesn't have to happen because we don't need all this technology watching our every single move. I despise it. It makes me not want to go out. Makes me not want to go out. The corrupt state of Missouri, when you get that new picture for your license and you smile and you want to look good for the camera. They captured your iris scan, retinal scan, another type of fingerprint. And what they do with it, they sold it to a private corporation in Georgia. Yeah, they did. The kind of things that we talk about on USA Prepares, we talk about them way before they become mainstream news. People laugh at us. We have detractors. We have ugly, disgusting detractors. Who are they like? I'll tell you who they're like. They're like the people who they call fans at a ball game. These degenerates that throw D cells, also known as batteries, at the players. So these turds will go to a ball game and then they'll throw objects that can really hurt physically the players that are on the field. We have the same kind of stuff going on. People hurling insults at us, telling us what to do. So I just want to make it clear to those turds who are attacking us on the internet. Here's the way it goes. The only people who are on USA Prepares are people whom I like. If I don't like them, they're not on the radio with me. They're on the radio with me because I want them to be. And you know what? There are plenty of other things to listen to on the radio. You don't have to listen to USA Prepares. If you don't like us, go away. Go away. We're not changing. We're not changing. And if you don't like what I just said, I'm going to give you a number. Here's the number. 866-582-9933. We'll even pay for the call. Bring it on. Come challenge me. Tell me what you think. But if you cuss, you're out of here. If you don't tell the truth, you're out of here. I'm prepared to do battle with you turds. I'm not talking about our whole class. I'm just talking about a few degenerates that try to beat us up on the internet. Let's have at it. 866-582-9933. I'm calling you out. Rich Scheben?
Yeah, well, Vince, there's a lot of things. These people are bought and paid for trolls. They are actually making a living doing this, and I've read quite a few articles about this. But when Loretta Lynch calls for blood on the streets or Maxine Waters calls for similar behavior, not just the unlawful persecutions like we talked about regarding Schaefer Cox, but the censorship, the surveillance, the GMO foods, meat-growing labs, big pharma, fluoride and chlorine in water, glyphosate, 5G, geoengineering, seeds tainted by Monsanto where you can't even use them again. You know, it's gotten to the point where there's so many things to talk about. And these people are obviously bought and paid for trolls because they don't want us giving information to the public, Vince.
We'll be right back. I'll tell you about kale when we come back. Class, I feel incumbent to tell you this. The most toxic foods you can buy according to Fox Business. I'm going to give them in order of toxicity. First being the most toxic. Strawberries, spinach, kale, nectarines, apples, grapes, peaches, cherries, pears, tomatoes, celery, potatoes. That's the list. The link will be on the website, USA Prepares. Rich Scheben, back to you.
Yeah, Vince, is that toxicity, is that because of GMO foods, because of pesticides? Do they give a reason for that toxicity?
Pesticides.
Okay. Yeah, doesn't surprise me at all. You know, folks, we really are living in a Twilight Zone episode. And this is why President Trump, besides stopping censorship and bringing back free speech and the rule of law, he needs to definitely do an overhaul for voter tampering and so we can get our votes out there, because everything is unrestrained, illegitimate, and irrelevant right now. You know, it's funny, Vince, when the Democrats come out with all these supposedly great ideas without doing a constitutional amendment, like getting rid of the Electoral College and having a 16-year-old vote, you know, just dumb things that is in the rule of law, in our Constitution, for a big reason. Why don't we do this then? Why don't we say I don't know how many counties are there, Vince? 2,000, 3,000, I don't know, somewhere in there. Let's say if you win a county, will it be red or blue? The amount of counties, let's say there's 2,000 just to make the math easier. Let's say 1,500 counties are red or Republican and 500 are blue. That means the Republicans win the vote. If we can do all this stupid stuff, why don't we do something that actually makes sense and represent the people? I think I mentioned this on the air yesterday. If you drew a graph affecting what's really affecting freedom, liberty, and the rule of law, and you take the increase in stupidity, cowardice, the lowering the bars of standards and expectations for getting a job, and everything political correctness along with greed, they basically, if you plot them on a graph, it looks like four sets of tracks going in the same direction. I mean, that's how ridiculous things have gotten. Vince?
Well, in the United States, if you count parishes, boroughs, census areas, independent cities, and the District of Columbia, there are 3,142 of them. So that's the number.
Yeah. But wouldn't that be a great idea if we actually represented the whole country evenly instead of getting rid of the Electoral College where basically 4 or 5 states, and it wouldn't even be the 4 or 5 states who would win the majority. It would be the few biggest cities in those 4 or 5 states. You know, it's unbelievable the gaslighting, the lies, the propaganda, the acting, the theater that comes from Hollywood. You know, I've been seeing a lot of articles about John Cusack and the stuff he's saying about Trump and we the people. You know, he does some pretty good work. He's a pretty good actor. I remember he did a movie, he was in a Western, that he stood for principle against the wealthy landowners and corrupt system. And he ended up getting hung. He was basically looked at by the locals as a hero because he stood for principle. And when he played in the movie Con Air, he played an honest, I think it was FBI or DEA agent, I can't remember, but he did everything that was brave and the right thing. So basically, you take Hollywood and how they portray themselves in the movie industry versus how they portray themselves against we the people is incredible. And he did another movie, something about loving dogs. The title escapes me. But he worked with Diane Lane, probably one of the most beautiful women in the world. It's amazing to me how somebody like John Cusack, who's had such a great life, great wealth, great fame, great everything, and he goes against what we the people voted for. It's just, and this is why we need people like Angela Clemens. We need average Joes. We need heroes with guts. We need the Candace Owens, the people who have the guts to speak up, and maybe we can be the land of the free and the home of the brave again, Vince.
You know, as you were saying that, I was thinking of what some of the problems are. I think one of the problems is we don't take people to task. Many years ago, I had one of my annual performance appraisals or performance reviews at the bank, and my boss told me that I don't work well with stupid people. I have not improved in my ability to work well with stupid people. And seriously, stupid people are not welcome at my home. They're not. Stupid people who vote to steal money from me are not welcome at my home. Stupid people who want tax increases are not welcome at my home. They are trying to steal from me. They really are. I want to take care of my family and those close to me. Period. I don't feel a responsibility to take care of the Skid Row people. Okay? That's not my responsibility to do that. I'll help individuals, but it's not my fault. I didn't do it. I didn't choose these bad behaviors. I I pulled my children out of the government training camp because I saw it was a cesspool. I saw that they were wasting time. I saw that they were indoctrinating or trying to indoctrinate the children, and I wouldn't let them do that to mine. Let's see. George in New Hampshire, welcome. You're on with Rich Scheben and me.
Hi, Vincent. Hi, Rick.
Hey, George. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks.
I just wanted to say is, with these wars that have been fought over the last century there, they sent a lot of the South sacrificing youth, members of the community who would have grown up to become parents, to becoming involved in the community affairs, politics, and else. And they basically bled them off, destroyed them, built up the enemies on the other side. And now you just read off a list about all the various vegetables and fruits that are actually unsafe to eat. And I don't live on a farm. I'll try to grow some tomatoes or something once in a while, when the weather permits. But I'm just saying is that how many people are trying to eat healthy, and we're in a war that most people don't even know they're in, and we're losing the war. But the point I'm trying to make is the people it's a race between the people waking up and the people going to sleep. And I'll be honest with you, I'm at a point where, and I'm sure you gentlemen are too, where it's not going to be by the ballot box. And by the way, I just want to say it. They have Screen Actors Guild, SAG, and Donald Trump is a card-carrying member of that. And I can't help but think that it's scripted, all the drama we're watching on the tube, and then I hear them coming out and getting more and more involved in the Middle East, where you got too many people in Congress who have dual citizenships, and you can't serve two masters. And that, I just wanted to say that, but I think we're almost beyond the talking stage, don't you?
Well, sure. What you talked about, George, is collateral damage. And what Vince talked about, a lot of these toxins are literally being sprayed on the plant, either in the field or on the shelf to expand shelf life. Never mind the fact that they're basically in the laboratory changing the proteins, the amino acids, the enzymes, and modifying them so we can't get the benefits of the biotechnology and the homeostasis from Mother Nature. They're putting in food coloring, synthetic flavors, artificial sweeteners, bleached white food, toxin-loaded gluten, microwavable meals, monosodium glutamate. I mean, it's getting to the point that if we don't start being more self-sufficient, and that's why we do what we do on the air, and that's why we practice what we preach. Most of the people, as you know, George, and you're one of them, Vince is one of them, there's a lot of instructors who are, in fact, most of them, they practice what they preach. We don't tell people to do stuff if we don't do it ourselves. So how are we going to prevent these diseases and disorders, from all this, big pharma, FDA-approved stuff that has contraindications, adverse events, and side effect profiles, 1,000 times longer than the indications for the drug. So basically, we wipe out our immune system. We basically invite sickness. We enable pathogens, parasites, bacteria, and viruses to basically destroy our own health. So, you throw in vaccines, you throw in the overuse of antibiotics, you throw in the chemical insecticides and the glyphosate in everything, never mind chemical herbicides, throw in prescription medications, look what it does to the water supply. We have superbugs everywhere. You walk into a hospital, you sit on a toilet seat, you rub your arm against a curtain. I mean, you can get this anywhere. And then you got heavy metal toxins, fluoride and chlorine in the water. I mean, we can go on and on and on. So, yeah, we do have major issues, But if we don't discuss them and we don't get people to read up and research up, then there's no chance. So what we try to do, so when you hear all these detractors, it's pretty obvious they're working for the big corporate America and big alliance fascist system of government in order to depopulate the U.S. and the planet. That's exactly what's going on. Same thing with Vince. You mentioned the people on Skid Row. Okay, they're basically experiments to see how they react to certain stimuli. And who knows what.
All right, hold that thought. Hold that thought. We're going into a break, and I'm going to tell you about natural flavoring. George, please stay with us. Class, I've posted a number of the things that we've discussed today on the website, usaprepares.com, usaprepares.com. Beaver butt, that's just below the tail of a beaver. Well, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration the U.S. Government Corporation, Food and Drug Administration, lists beaver's butts as natural flavoring. How is it used? Well, it's used in perfumes, so you can put some on your skin. You can also eat it. Natural flavoring. It's in vanilla, it's in cherry, and it's in strawberry. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, John.
It's also
and blue raspberry. Yeah, blue raspberry.
Yes,
there you go.
So gland.
Get your. That's right. That's right. The castor gland, and it's yeah. And how do they lie? That's another way they lie. George, any comments?
Like MSG, as you said, it has so many other names that it goes under. But, you know, as they say, a rose by any other name is still the same. Autolyzed yeast extract, vegetable powder, soy protein. Now, you say to yourself, if you see hydrolyzed, like the word hydro and lyzed, and you see yeast or soy mentioned, the odds are 93% of all the soy in the United States is patented by Monsanto, and it's genetically modified. But I'm just saying you have to be a combination of a detective, a chemist, almost a clairvoyant nowadays to be able to, avoid all these death traps, for want of a better word.
George, you just have to buy heirloom or open pollinated seeds and grow your own produce. It's just that simple.
You're right.
Yeah, under plastic to keep it from being sprayed from above.
Vincent, may I just say, Rick, may I just say, here are some of the side effects of MSG, monosodium glutamate: headaches, asthma, chest pains, diarrhea, heart palpitations, hot flashes, fatigue, blurred vision, numbness around the face, swelling, sweating, urinary discomfort. Now, I don't think I left too many people out beyond a certain age. Do you?
I didn't hear you say death yet. And if you want to know what George is talking about, just go to your favorite Chinese restaurant, okay, and eat there, and you will get those benefits from eating the MSG. And if you ask them, oh no, we don't put MSG in. Oh really? Here's what you do: try making Chinese food at home without MSG, and you go, boy, this tastes terrible. It's designed to taste great. They are using hydrolyzed vegetable protein, also known as MSG. These people lie. And the government corporation is not in the business of protecting the bottom 93%. That would be us. They're not protecting us. There's no truth in labeling. There's no truth in advertising. There's nobody to call. There's nowhere to go. Class, we are on our own. And that's what USA Prepares does. We expose the criminals, and we give out their names and numbers.
Never mind protection. We don't have right to restitution under the law also, which I've given thousands of examples on over the years.
And that's why we're angry. That's why we're angry, because society is breaking down. The Second American Revolution has already started. More ammo. Class, more ammo. Let me say it a different way. More ammo.
But I'll say this, too. To slip in a hacksaw to all of the people out there who are in cyber prisons, emotional prisons, and others, antidoteforall.com is a simple exercise that'll help you break that chain one strand at a time and start to wake up. And it's private, it's very personal, it's free. Antidoteforall.com. But I'm saying you have to break the chains that bind you so you can stand up and flex your muscles and move your arms and then decide which direction you want to travel in, not just be stuck in that prison that's forming up all around us.
George, thank you so much for being with us. Rich, Scheben, thank you so much for being with us. Class, above all, honesty and integrity. What happens next is up to you.